Hello, and welcome to today's lesson from the IELTScoach.com. In today's lesson, we are going to look at how to use fillers in the IELTS speaking exam. Okay, so let's begin by first identifying what fillers are. Fillers are expressions, words, or phrases that give the speaker time to think of what they want to say. So a filler usually acknowledges to the examiner that you have understood the question, that you are going to answer the question, but it shows that you need a bit of time to think about your answer. So fillers are natural. Native speakers use them all the time. So they need to come across as being a natural thing, not as a rehearsed thing. So don't use a filler because that's how you're studying. Naturally get into the habit of thinking of what you want to say, but before you think, give some kind of expression that shows you are going to think. So we'll look at the type of fillers that we can use a little bit later. Also, when it comes to fillers, be aware that two fillers can often be used together. And when we say fillers, because we want to give ourselves time, we want to slow things down, we say the filler more slowly than if we were speaking normally. So don't say a filler quickly, because that's not the purpose of the filler. The filler is to give you time. So slow down when you're giving a filler. For example, if someone asked me a question, I would say, well, let me think. So I'm thinking and I'm saying the filler slowly, and then I would give my answer. So it shows that you're thinking because the filler is coming out quite slowly. Okay, so we'll look at those kind of examples, but remember, you do have to practice using the fillers and be aware of when you can and cannot use a filler. A filler gives you time to think of your opinion or of an idea that you are going to express. You would not use a filler when you are answering simple questions that you know the answer to. What is your name? How many people in your family? Where do you live? These are not opinion type questions. They are factual questions that you should know the answer straight away. If someone asks you, where do you live? You can say, well, let me think. No, you're not imagining, you're not creating an opinion, you're giving a fact. You should not need a filler for that. You should be able to give that information reasonably quickly. So in this case, for IELTS speaking, obviously fillers are much more likely and more practical in part 3 of the speaking exam when they do ask you for your ideas and opinions about different topics. So don't use fillers in part 1. Okay, for the most part, there might be a few part 1 questions where it's appropriate, but usually not. So now let's have a look at a few of the different fillers that we can use and that we can combine together. And the first set is well, Okay, so when you're giving, again, when you begin that answer, also it's important to note fillers are at the beginning of your answer. Don't use them in the middle of a sentence. Don't use them after your second or third sentence. Try and have it at the beginning. You're thinking of your whole answer. Then you should not need fillers anymore. So when you're expressing them. The second set we have, let me think, let's see. So why do you think young people like to study overseas? Let me think. It might be because of this, or perhaps they do it for this reason. Okay, and then give your ideas and reasons. A few more fillers that we can use, and obviously you would change the filler depending on the type of question. For the next two, that's a tough one. That's a bit tricky. Obviously, you could not use that for an easy question. If it's a topic that you don't think of often, if it's a topic you're not very sure about, then you could say that's a tough one. I guess, I suppose, when speculating. So this is questions about why other people do things, like that previous question. Why do young people choose to study overseas? Well, I'm not sure. I guess it's because of this. And the final group there we have, I'm not so sure. I haven't really thought about that. So obviously, for some of these expressions, that's a tricky one. I haven't thought about it. These are for things, obviously, for part 3 type questions. What do you do in your free time? That's not a tricky question. That's not something you haven't thought about. So you can't use fillers for simple part 1 type questions. So I hope this information has helped you a little bit in giving you ideas about not just what fillers you can use, but when to use fillers and why fillers are used. They are used to give you a bit of time to think, slow down when you say the filler, and while you're saying the filler, you should be thinking of your ideas and expressions that you will use in your answer. So thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel to get more IELTS video lessons. Watch another video on the channel and leave a comment underneath this video if you have any questions about IELTS. Thank you and goodbye.